The Gateway Arch, located on the west bank of the Mississippi River, is the largest and one of the most prominent monuments that you can find in the United States. As with every monument, the Gateway Arch is honoring or dedicated to a person or an event. The arch just happens to be dedicated to both. The more known reason for the arch is the honoring of all the brave pioneers who ventured west seeking new opportunities and paving the way for generations to come. The arch, also known as the Gateway to the West, due to its past westward expansion, was built on the Mississippi River because crossing the Mississippi was one of the most influential actions in United States history. It was also situated in St. Louis on the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial because that's where Lewis and Clark were pretty close to when they started their journey due to Louisiana Purchase, which was a very important transaction of land crucial to the growth of the United States. Not only is the arch dedicated to westward expansion and the Louisiana Purchase, it's also honoring two smaller parts of U.S. history. We'll start with the smaller one first. St. Louis was the first civil government west of the Mississippi River. Doesn't seem very important, but seeing that it created a governmental body and didn't just have a self-appointed leader, it was a pretty big step up. The other small and lesser known part is the honoration of Dred Scott and what he went through to help people in the future lessen racism and slaveristic ideas. Dred Scott, who was a slave who caused a bit of a stir from February 1856 through March 1857, was a pretty important guy in United States history. During his time as a slave, his owner, Dr. John Emerson, the person who purchased him from his former owner Peter Blow, took Scott and his family to Illinois and Wisconsin. This wouldn't have been a big deal except that Illinois and Wisconsin were free states, so by law you would think Scott and his family could just run away and be free, right? Wrong. Well, they didn't, so when they got back to Missouri, Dred Scott realized his mistake and tried to sue Emerson for his freedom. He did have a point, so there was a lot of controversy in that specific case. But in the end, Scott lost because the court ruled that property has no right, and seeing that they thought a slave was property, he had no right to sue his owner and subsequently lost the case. Now that we're past the historical background, we can talk a little about the construction of the arch. Around late 1933, a council created the idea of an arch, or one central figure, a single shaft, a building, an arch, or something else that could symbolize American culture and civilization. The only thing they needed was an architect, so after a contest, they pick a young man by the name of Eero Saarinen, a young Finnish architect who, with great talent, created a lasting design that the entire council loved. After all, the funding was collected and some controversy was put aside. Controversy as citizens thought that using money for this was wasteful. The construction for the arch started in 1959. Finishing at 630 feet tall, the arch is certainly nothing to laugh at. Saarinen not only created a monument that looked good in the eyes of the people, but it also is stable enough to stand in any weather and natural occurrence. With legs that dig 60 feet into the ground, the arch has a very solid base. Being the world's largest arch and the largest man-made monument in America, it can't really sway that much either. Even during storms of up to 150 mile-per-hour winds, the arch only sways 9 inches either side due to each cross-section of the arch being an equilateral triangle, a thick carbon steel layer, and the width and height being the same height and length at 630 feet. Adding on to the most stainless steel ever used in one architectural project, it's a pretty durable monument. After 2 years of hard labor, 886 tons of stainless steel, 25,980 tons of carbon steel, 42,878 tons of steel, and a total cost of $13 million, in today's money $96,300,000, the U.S. was gifted with one of the most timeless monuments the world has ever seen. When Saarinen created the arch, he didn't really add much about the smaller things. It was more about the bigger picture, like westward expansion, and that's where the rhetorical symbolism comes in. The arch itself, being the architectural project that it is made to look like a gateway to something better. This symbolizes the path and launching point that St. Louis was during the times of westward expansion. This gateway does symbolize Dred Scott and the civil government a bit, though. It shows that Dred Scott and the first civil government paved the way for future generations, in Dred Scott's case, and future Western government, in the government's case. Overall, an arch is a very good way to view something as a trailblazer or gateway to new opportunities. In an appealed ethos, the arch is used to support the American idea of being the best and outdoing everyone else, plus the importance of St. Louis as a city to the United States. The arch, being the largest arch in the world and easily the most stable, shows other countries that the United States wants to and plans to be the best country out there. And what better than to build an arch, right? Maybe not, but it seemed to work well so far. Still, the tallest and isn't coming down anytime soon. Not only is the arch important, but the city in which the arch is built is also very important. St. Louis, being the 58th most populated city at 318,172, is not just large, but also a very integral part of the United States. The Rome of the West, as known by some people around the world, St. Louis is predominantly Catholic, and knowing that the United States has usually been pretty Christian throughout the years, a large chunk being Catholic, it is plausible to say that St. Louis is a very important place in the United States and in the world. Another important aspect, a rhetorical aspect that is, of the architecture is its use of pathos. Looking at the arch from different views makes it seem like you are welcome because of the likeliness to an open gate. I mean, it foreshadows a message of all are welcome, and seeing that the United States has been called a melting pot of cultures and ethnicities, and what could be better to a foreigner than a big sign saying, "You're welcome here." Another way pathos is affected is by the lack of detail on the arch. Eero Saarinen was going for a larger picture of westward expansion and welcoming, rather than a detailed representation, because truly, sometimes the bigger picture is the better picture. Definitely the overall theme or message that I took from the arch after doing all this work is that anything is possible and everyone is welcome to come help and make it possible. What better place to have an arch than America, a place built on group work and people helping other people, rather than just a singular movement or just one person. Before this project, I thought of the Gateway Arch as just another huge chunk of metal that you could go up in a cart and walk in the middle of and take pictures out of a window from. But this project has changed my views a lot. I now know that it is not just a big chunk of metal, but it's a symbol of the hard work, dedication, and rebirth after failure that has powered the United States until today, and will power the United States until the United States ends. In conclusion, I think that how relevant the monument is today should be addressed last. In 2013, 4 million people visited the arch, and its numbers keep growing each and every year, making it one of the largest attractions in the world. In my opinion, saying that the arch is still relevant has never been easier.